no.
Is it working? I think it is working.
Is it working?
Yeah.
Hi, guys.
Hello, YouTube. I'm doing this off the cuff. My name is Ryder. I'm the news director here at KYT. We are currently having internet issues which are impacting our 4 o'clock show. But before the show, we had California governor candidate Antonio Villaraigosa here at the station, and he sat down with Mina Wahab, our reporter. Mina, what did you and Antonio Villaraigosa talk about today?
So we talked about a lot of things, specifically what are locals dealing with, right? So I think sometimes when we work in news, we cover the national politics, but there's a lot that's affecting people here. Obviously, cost of living is huge, affordable housing is huge. It's something that affects everyone from students in Isla Vista to people who are commuting, hours just to get here from other places like Lompoc, Oxnard, Ventura County. And so we sat down and we had a conversation about all of these things. It really felt like Antonio had a middle-of-the-line approach to a lot of things. So even though he's a Democrat, it feels like he's someone that, based on the responses he was giving us, that he's used to working across the aisle. He prides himself on public safety, which is something that he referred to during his time as LA mayor, keeping LA safer. And we talked about not just him increasing the number of police officers, but when you take care of things like education, healthcare, all these other things, it has an effect at, making people lead better lives, which in turn reduces crime.
Yeah.
So we had an interesting conversation.
A lot of the things that he talked about that I thought was important to Santa Barbara viewers is, he wants to cut a lot of red tape with CEQA. And with that comes a lot of, how do you balance more housing with the makeup of a community? And he had a couple interesting answers to that.
I'm trying to remember right now because I feel like we talked about a lot of different things, but he did say that one of the goals was to create 3.5 million homes, and it's not just, obviously, like, price is driven by supply, right? So you look at things like vacancy rate, and when you have a really low when you have a really low vacancy rate,
right,
it obviously leads to prices going up. But this is something that even, like, we covered another story today that hasn't aired yet about Goleta City Council and how they're addressing what tenants are going through and how they want to change, like, a tenant ordinance to make sure that, if a tenant is going to be evicted or removed from a situation, what protections are in place for when they want to move somewhere else. Like, are we going to give them 2 months rent?
Right.
Which they mentioned, $8,000 for 2 months. But I know that with Villaraigosa, like, he talked a lot about things like infrastructure, clean energy, and it felt like he was balancing both sides.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's currently and the reason why he came to the station, of course, is because he has a new commercial out on air, and so he's doing this circuit, and we also have a few other California governor candidates coming out, and we're doing it kind of early too, right? It's 2025, it's not until 2026. So he's already coming in, and I think he's speaking with Supervisor Roy Lee of Carpinteria. That's his coverage area, so that's where he went to after he was here.
Yeah, and also I do want to point out that there's someone else who's running for governor that is actually from our coverage area, and he's a UCSB professor, Butch Ware, who also announced his candidacy with the Green Party. So there's a lot of players involved in this race, and it's going to be an interesting one. So hopefully we can give you more information about each of the candidates as these multiple campaigns unfold, actually.
Yeah. I'm going to go find another reporter. Do you want to talk about some other stories you've been working on?
Some other stories I've been working on. Yeah, sure. Just by myself? Just up here? Okay. For the people who are joining in right now, okay, it feels really odd to not talk to someone, but straight to the camera. But I will say that, we're always working on housing stories, on cost of living stories. For me, I love covering entertainment, so we did a fun segment last week about the Taylor Swift engagement. Rumor has it that Selena Gomez might be getting married in Montecito. We also have a 1-805 concert coming up to support our firefighters, which is going to be a really cool event with a meaningful message behind it. And so, you know, I feel like Santa Barbara is this hidden gem where there's like a lot of entertainment, but there's also a lot of heart behind the entertainment. We have an emphasis on education here, on the performing arts. Eventually, and I want to get interest from you guys if there are comments here on YouTube Live, but eventually I'd love to give you guys a behind the scenes look at the newsroom and what different people love about their jobs here. I mean, we have so many different roles. My role is a multimedia journalist, so I shoot, edit, pitch my own stories, go live occasionally. But we also have, you know, a meteorologist, we have the anchors, we have producers. There's so many different roles here. We have a sales team, and so I feel like it would be interesting to kind of see what everybody loves about their job here. But now we have someone very famous to Santa Barbara that's coming up right now.
So as KYT, we have a lot of reporters out up and down the coast covering a bunch of topics. I now have John Palmentary with me. John, what are you covering today?
Well, I'm advancing a story coming up next Wednesday on electric vehicles. There's a very big financial incentive for buyers to buy electric vehicles right now. It's going to run out in September. It could be thousands of dollars, $4,000 from Edison and PG&E, other groups. If you were to add them all up, it could be $12,000 to buy a electric vehicle, get some incentive and rebates. That's all running out. The federal government's cutting these programs out at the end of September. Next Wednesday, there's going to be an expo in downtown Santa Barbara in the 1200 block between the Granada Theater and Anapamu Street there. There's going to be electric vehicles out there. There's going to be dealers. There's going to be members of the Community Environmental Council who are hosting this, and they can even sit down with you and fill out all the forms on what you need to do, how much you make, what kind of rebates you can get to be able to get this discount and be able to purchase a vehicle before the deadline. So all that is an advanced story coming up for this big expo next week in downtown Santa Barbara, in advance of the incentives running out at the end of the month. And there's even going to be some discounts for people buying electric bikes too. So whether it's an electric bike or an electric car, not so much a golf cart or a vehicle like that, but the other two for sure. And then the largest incentive, of course, is from an electric vehicle if you're of lower income. Your rebate or your incentive can go up even higher. So that's next Wednesday, 5:30 to 7:30 downtown, and we are getting the information together on that, getting that out to the public, getting them out there. We think it's going to be very popular. The Santa Barbara community, when electric vehicles originally came out, was per capita said to be one of the most popular communities for the purchase of electric cars. And dealers like Kia, Hyundai, and Toyota will be out there next week, and I think they want to sell cars. I don't know if they're going to have enough of them if they get a big turnout, but they want to sell these cars next week and through the end of the month with this incentive. If in one more thing, there was going to be a possible replacement program by the state of California with the governor, but it hasn't been announced yet. So the federal money goes out, the state money, whatever program hasn't been announced. So this is the gap to buy or wait. That's what I'm working on.
John, let me ask you a question. Antonio Villaraigosa visited the station, as we talked about on YouTube Live. What are you hearing from people that say, do we have the infrastructure for all these green cars? Do we have the infrastructure for all these electric vehicles? What are you hearing?
I have not heard anyone say that they're having trouble getting a charger. People that are working downtown, the top of our Granada garage has chargers up there, solar panels. Some of the other garages have them as well. Down on the first floor, over in the county building, they have them. So far, I haven't heard anybody say, I can't find a place to charge my vehicle. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
And it's a hot topic because you did a story with Carbajal a couple weeks ago talking
And we were
about
right there. We were
right
surrounded
there.
by electric vehicles. They were being charged. There were still parking places available.
Cool, awesome.
And I know that, obviously businesses like Big Five has all the Tesla chargers.
Right.
And I know along the Central Coast, I think there's a big charging station in Buellton, one at the Madonna Inn.
Right.
I can imagine those getting backed up on the weekends, but I've not really heard of anyone saying I haven't been able to charge my car. I think maybe in part because the vehicles can go farther, so there's less of a panic demand every 150 miles to charge your car, like maybe when you first started the purchase of electric cars. Maybe they weren't as durable. So I guess these are questions you can ask on Wednesday when you go down on State Street between Anapamu and Victoria Street. By the way, they're going to have refreshments as well. They'll have snacks, pizza, refreshments, and information.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, John. All right, let's go around the newsroom. Let's check out. This is a view you guys usually don't get to see every single day, but let's try something new. Oh, we got Evan.
I was just interviewing.
You were interviewing him? Can I tag team on this?
Yeah,
What are we seeing today in weather?
Yeah, so I can go through our forecast. So today we are cooler in our area than we were, especially for the past week or couple weeks. We had high pressure system after high pressure system. We had that heat wave a week before Labor Day weekend. It was toasty over Labor Day weekend. This upcoming weekend, we're finally returning to near normal conditions. So why we started cooling down today, for able to show my computer here, we do have a low pressure system off in the northwest. We have winds coming from that direction as usual, so that helps us cool down. It's also breezy outside. You may have noticed that, and wherever you're watching from, we'll see gusty winds on the Gaviota coast later tonight, not something out of the ordinary. Tomorrow, our temperatures are going to stay near average because of how far off that system is, and we also have some heat. This is highlighted in this deeper red color. Down to the south, we are in between those two systems, so we're going to be right on average in between the cold and warm weather. By Sunday, our winds are going to get a little weaker, and that heat is going to impact our area a bit more, so we'll see temperatures rise up a little bit more on Sunday. And this is a look at a water vapor, so this shows the warm dry air versus the cooler air up in the north. And you can see Southern California near LA seeing some warmer weather. This infrared satellite I was just showing Mina shows the temperature of the moisture in this tropical storm. This was Hurricane Lorena. It has weakened to become a tropical storm. It's going to be becoming a low pressure system soon, which I'll show in a moment. This shows our cloud coverage and also some rain throughout the area, satellite image of our clouds, and then these green and lightning spots indicates where any storms are happening. Looks like some are occurring just to the southeast of San Diego, but we are mostly dry in our area and across California. For our local forecast, this is our future track fog. It shows our visibility, so it's going to be low in the morning. Lompoc Standing. I'm going all the way through. Is this okay, Ryder?
Yeah.
It's going to be low in the morning through 7 a.m., also in Oxnard, but we are going to be clearing out from those clouds later in the afternoon and evening. So Saturday is looking sunny for nearly the entire region. And then our winds for tomorrow, we have a breeze in the afternoon coming from the northwest, coming from that cooler weather up in the north, which I showed, which is also why Santa Maria, Lompoc areas are often much cooler than we are on the south coast, because they catch a lot of that wind activity coming from that direction. There's those gusty winds in Gaviota that we're seeing tonight. I have our football forecast. If you're heading out tonight, Goleta hosting a home game against the Santa Barbara Dons. Looking at the temperatures, the warmer weather does last a bit later into the evening for the south coast, so that's why we're seeing those 74-degree temperatures for kickoff compared to the Santa Maria Valley. This is in Orchid, Rigetti High School versus Lompoc Braves, low 60s during kickoff. But also tomorrow in Santa Maria, we have Serve Santa Maria, a volunteer event. People wake up early in the morning and do some volunteer work around town, painting schools, doing yard work and cleaning, outdoor activities. So for volunteers in the morning, we'll see those cool and cloudy cloudy skies, cooler temperatures.
There you go.
And then we'll see sunshine and warmer temperatures in the 70s for the afternoon. This is a forecast for Napomo tomorrow. We'll be in the low 70s in the afternoon. We'll also be cooling down quickly into the 50s. A couple more frames, and then I'll let you move on, Ryder. But this is what was Lorena, so a tropical storm now. This green showing all the rain activity. I fast forwarded to tomorrow afternoon. It is lightening up. It was a lot stronger within the past day or two. By the Sunday, it actually dries up a lot, and this system was pushing a lot of rain into Arizona, New Mexico, Four Corners area, even to parts of Southeast California. So that looks like it will dry out by Sunday. but then more cold and wet weather from the northwest is going to start moving towards our area by the beginning of the week next week. So come around Tuesday, we can see those clouds coming from the northwest. That is going to create some cooler weather for us, below average, and some cloudy skies expected by about Wednesday next week. I think I already basically showed that slide. Travel forecast for this weekend: tomorrow afternoon, warm in San Diego, 80s, 90s, Palm Springs, Bakersfield, 97. As I mentioned, Sunday is going to be a little bit warmer, so that's when we see those temperatures getting close to 80 degrees once again. Santa Barbara, triple digits for Palm Springs. Last thing of my forecast.
All right, here we go.
Our highs for tomorrow. We're seeing cooler conditions on the south coast, low 70s, Goleta, Montecito, not as warm as it was today. Moving up into northern Santa Barbara County, San Ynez Valley, getting some cooler temperatures further to the north near Los Alamos, Lompoc, and Santa Maria tomorrow at 74. San Luis Obispo County, always warmer in the northern part of the region. We're seeing just right on average temperatures for San Luis Obispo at 78, 75 in Arroyo Grande tomorrow. Last frame, Ventura County, 77, Ventura Oxnard, still warm in our local mountains. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Evan. So let's break it down. This weekend,
Yeah.
what are we wearing and where are we going?
Okay, Saturday, beach, hike, sunny, on average, mostly in the 70s, light breeze, nice. Sunday, a little bit warmer, so that's when we get closer to the 80 degrees, maybe find some shade, go to a movie, find some air conditioning, but the next week, cooler and cloudier, so maybe some fall-like activities then.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Evan. All right, as we make our way around the newsroom, Scott Hennessy over here. We're on YouTube Live now. Hi, say hi, audience. Can I ask you a couple questions? All right, let me ask you a couple questions. Let's do a roundup, right? It's Friday. What were some top stories that you saw here locally that stood out to you?
We're talking about today on Friday.
Yeah, this past week, what were some top stories that really stood out to
The
you?
first one I think about is that there was a stabbing on State Street that they initially were charging someone for murder, but then they said that the person so it was self-defense. So the DA made a change on it. That was interesting to me. That was one thing. We had a big story on Isla Vista rentals and property inspections.
Right.
And that was very interesting with an interview with a couple of people representing tenants and landlords and another person representing the county.
Right.
That was interesting too.
Right. What did you think of, and I don't know a whole lot about it, hopefully you do, I'm putting you on the hot seat, the tree farm.
Holloway Christmas tree farm.
Yeah, do you want to bring people up to speed if they haven't heard that news?
Well, if you're anywhere around Napomo, you know about the Holloway Christmas tree farm, which has been there since the 1960s.
Yeah, been there a long
They
time.
run business, cut your own tree. Generations of people have been going there, and the property is for sale because the family is moving on to do other things. So we don't know what's going to happen to it. They're going to have it this year. November 17th, I think, is when they're going to open. But beyond that, it may turn into something else other than a Christmas tree farm. So Dave Alley did that story. He always did such a good job covering the news in Napomo, 5 cities, Snow County, San Diego, everywhere. He was on that one and talked to a couple people that are really going to miss it. And I know that there's a lot of folks that are going to miss it.
Did you think we were going to talk about Christmas in September?
When it's still hot, no. But that's part of the fun of news, right? Is you never know what's coming.
You never know. Cool. Thank you, Scott.
All right.
All right, we're going to go more. That's Caleb, Simon Desk. He's going to go out to FF later. Krister, producer. And look at who we got over here. We got, who are you? No, I'm joking. Beth Farnsworth.
Hi.
Beth Farnsworth, what were the top local stories this week that stood out to you?
I have to say, CJ and I were just talking about yesterday. Excuse me. I have a cough drop. I apologize. Yesterday we had live guests on regarding the Isla Vista tenant-landlord controversy. And I think, CJ, would you agree? Yeah. That was a highlight. So we had people come in both sides of this controversy, if you will, trying to make sure that the units that people are renting in Isla Vista, the college students when they move in, hopefully before they move in, but when they're in, they're safe. And this was really inspired, championed by County Supervisor Laura Capps, and the ongoing number of deaths of students falling over the dangerous bluffs that are eroding. We know that a lot of the fencing and a lot of the railings have been worn for many different reasons. Anyhow, so the county is imposing this 1-year pilot program on landlords, but there's pushback because landlords they feel like it's overreach, government overreach. They don't want people just coming into their units. They say their tenants don't want people coming, inspectors coming into their units, checking to see if there's exposed wiring, plumbing issues, things that are dangerous that we're just working on for decades. So I think that was a highlight for me.
What did you hear? So we did the pack. What did you hear from students, and what did we hear from inspectors?
So the students were pointing out different areas, black mold in their bathrooms, in their toilets, possibly in their closets. And they were told by their landlords when they brought up the issue that it's friendly mold. It's not really a problem. Don't be worried about it. Inspectors, though, so far, this launched just a couple of months ago, so far only minor problems have been found.
Right.
So nothing really major at this point.
Which the guest for Laura Capps actually said that they were right. That her director of communications was actually saying that's kind of what we wanted to find. I mean, they don't want to find anything, right. But they said that they did so much outreach that they were like, hopeful. We're actually kind of glad that it's just minor.
That's right. Eleanor Gartner, who was on set as well with Robin Ulander, and together we're really going back and forth. I guess years ago they used to have somebody who was assigned to Isla Vista, almost a kiosk, if you will, that was set up where if people saw things in their apartments and they were safety hazards, that they were able to go and start the form process to bring an inspector in. That has gone away. And so this is really replacing that. Disagreement on whether or not this is the way to go. But it is in place for a year. And as both women were leaving, we talked to them for a good 6 minutes plus, which is a lot of time on television. They were both really well spoken and made great points. And as they left, he said, what if we bring back kind of a go-to person in the trenches in Isla Vista you can talk to them about your problems.
Go to their office.
Go to their office and they can start the inspection process. And both women said, that actually might be a neat thing to bring that person back. So, anyway, we'll see.
We'll see.
Continue,
we'll see.
As we say.
CJ, can I ask you, what local story stood out to you this week?
Well, I agree with Beth. I think the Isla Vista tenant story was a really good one. I love having people on set, so they kind of just
hash it out.
Yeah, hashed out. Just a conversation about, you hear that viewpoint, you hear that viewpoint, and it's always kind of eye-opening, when somebody always brings up something you hadn't considered. So
right.
I always love that. The one I think is probably, I guess it falls under the bizarre category.
Okay.
Was the Sutter Health employees being fired for posting some ridiculous social media post.
Yeah.
Human body fluids on tables.
That was a horrific violation of privacy and HEPA. It was horrible.
I mean, you sit there and look at a large group of people like that, and you go, no one in that group had common sense enough to say, wait a minute, this is probably stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first thing I thought of. I'm thinking, nobody, I mean, look, you're in healthcare, and you've gone through a lot of training, and you've got smarts, you've got...
Right.
Nobody had the common sense enough to stop and say,
this
probably isn't the smartest thing in the world.
When you first saw the video, like the rest of us, at first I was like, here locally? That's where this is coming from?
I know. And now it's all over the world.
Right, now it's gone viral, and people have been terminated for it. Did you, when you first heard, I don't know when you first heard about the video, but our executive producer was telling me that we first heard about it on Monday, before it went kind of viral, or it was just getting to that point. Did you think it was, when you heard about it, did you think it was going to reach this level? Or...
Well, the first time I heard it, I didn't have enough detail to really...
guesstimate.
Yeah. But as soon as you start hearing the details, and you're like, wait a minute, oh, that's what that was about.
Yeah.
Then you're like, oh, heck yeah. See, somebody's going to get in trouble for this. I didn't expect that everybody in the photo would get fired.
Right.
But I think that was the right thing to do.
Oh, I think it was
I think
too.
the fact that somebody would sit there and be part of that and have that photo taken. There were multiple photos, by the way, and I thought it was very interesting. We did do the story, and we blurred all of the faces in the photo that we used. However, I looked last night. It has really, we know it's gone viral, coast to coast.
Their faces are out
Their
there.
faces are out there. And it was interesting. I was reading kind of this social punishment, if you will, for people who do things like this. You know, it was talking about the Coldplay concert and the couple that was caught.
Yeah, and they're very closely related in the point of like doing something on something that you think is anonymous online,
exactly right.
and the internet does its thing, and
That's
it
right.
finds you, and then it gets back to your work, and then all of a sudden you're
And then
fired.
There's a social justice that just crashes down, right?
Yeah.
And so it's very interesting, the fallout. And unfortunately, I think there will be fallout as well for Sutter Health and Sansom, to an extent, which is really sad because we know there are wonderful people there, mostly wonderful people. I think it was right.
I will
that-
say this about it. I think they're going to end up having some kind of sensitivity training. I think there's going to be, Sutter Health is going to start a whole thing about sensitivity training for their employees. I mean, if this happens,
Yeah.
that many employees, they got to do something.
You know, and it's sad that that even has to happen.
No doubt.
I wouldn't think for a second that that would have
Yeah.
to happen at Sansom.
But that's
So-
what this is. This is all about patient sensitivity. I mean, again, I go back to common sense. Wasn't enough common sense in a group that big. They've got to go through some kind of training. I mean, as an employer, that's the first thing I'd be thinking about. How could my employees do something this dumb?
Well, and you
Right.
also wonder then if Cottage and UCLA and the other local medical
They'll learn from it, too.
services here are putting word out to their employees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then here's the other thing. So, okay, all these employees, they all look very young. So here are all these young employees. They've got the social media thing that's going to follow them for a long, long time.
Yeah, it's not going away.
It's not going away. They've been fired, so they're out of a job. How far should their punishment go? Social media is bad enough. I mean, do they lose licenses? Here's my feeling. You're young. I think they ought to be given a second chance. Hopefully they've been smart enough to learn from it. Maybe there's a suspension or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's the next debate. What happens to these young workers who did something stupid? They're probably now realizing how stupid it was. I mean, and hopefully they've learned from it. But what kind of punishment do they deserve beyond just the social embarrassment?
Yeah.
You think they should keep their certification, their medical certification?
I think that there should be a suspension, but I do think. But should they be ruined for the rest of their lives? No, I don't believe that. I believe that there should be some kind of suspension. They go through some kind of training, and hopefully they don't do anything that's stupid again.
Right. But of course, we don't know, right? I think in the moment when we think about virality, it's so in our face and we see it now. But there is really no statute of limitation when it comes to what's posted on the internet. And we hear that all the time here in newsrooms of, I was at UCSB and I was 18 at the time and I got arrested and you guys wrote an article, but now I've been expunged and can you take it down? It almost feels like that's the same thing with these videos, right? Like this video will stay up
I
there.
think this will be the worst punishment they could have. It's happening right now. That's why I question, a lifetime ban. I think that's too harsh in this case. But I think the worst punishment they have is what they're living through right now, and it's going to be there for years and years and years.
Yeah.
That's a horrible punishment.
What did we used to do before? No, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, spread the word. Oh, I worked with so and so, and word of mouth. I mean, it's just like TV is a small industry. Healthcare can be a pretty small industry as well, and sadly, that's another way they're going to probably be hurt.
Social media has really just changed
Changed
the world. It just has, across the board.
Yeah, and adapting to it, because you had the really good conversation yesterday with a psychologist, right, about using AI for mental health, which is a whole other aspect of it.
I was really hearing her perspective. People who are very lonely, are very depressed, people who are introverted and aren't able to connect one-on-one with other people face-to-face are falling in love with chatbots and AI and all the generated stuff, and they're more comfortable having a relationship. Pinch me.
You're real?
Pinch
Okay,
me. They're more comfortable, which is really, I think, personally, really tragic. would never want somebody to be alone and feel lonely in the world, and if that gives them a sense of love, well, then we can talk about that too. But it was a really interesting conversation.
Well, especially since it's a tool, right? Like AI is a tool that we use, and it just so happens this tool can respond to questions that we have in a very personal kind of way.
Yes.
And so, how do you teach a generation that is growing up with this, right? Like I grew up with YouTube and Google, so I kind of see it as just a tool. I don't know what came before. We have a generation growing up with AI who probably will just feel like, yeah, this is normal. Talk to a bot.
I say this kiddingly, but there's a part of it that's true for me. Is I just kind of want to stay somewhat Amish. Like I think it's so good to keep life simple and to keep it, I mean, outdoors and be in the dirt and move and smell the fresh air and excuse me, interact with people, volunteering with people, become part of something that you truly love and giving of yourself to other people. And I don't mean to sound so preachy, but I just think that or old. I don't want to be preachy, but I'm old. But I just think that whatever it is that makes you feel comfortable making a connection, whether it's with a group or get outside your own self. And I know that's easier said than done.
Right.
Sometimes for people.
Someone in the comment section said, a therapist will always challenge you in therapy. AI will always want to. AI will just hear what you have to say in the session.
People are seeing this?
Oh yeah, you're live. So what do you think?
So actually, I'll tell you this, what I think about AI. I see AI right now as back in the late 90s, everybody talked about the internet. This thing that was out there. You remember that? Remember the days
dark
of the internet?
force, yeah.
Yeah, this thing is going to turn on us. You know, it's going to be abused. It's going to do all. I see AI right now kind of along the lines of the early days of the internet, where people didn't understand it, they didn't know it was coming, and you can think of all the worst things that are going to happen. Obviously, some rules are going to have to be put in place, but eventually you'll figure out the rules, and hopefully the rules benefit people more than they hurt them.
All right, let me ask you this. Do you think we adapted to the internet properly? Could we have done it better? And is there anything that we could have done better with the internet that maybe we should address now that AI is becoming like the new thing?
I don't know. I would say this about the internet. I think the first thought that popped in my head was social media. How that, like it's an offshoot of the internet, but I see social media more damaging than beneficial.
I agree 100%. I do.
Social
Especially
media.
As a mom and
As a
yeah,
parent,
I don't think. I think it's done more harm. And I have friends. I have adult friends who say, "I'm addicted to social media. Like I'm constantly on my phone. I'm constantly scrolling through things. And, I don't look at it much anymore at all." And somebody the other day were talking about phones and breaking phones. They said, "Do you want me to break your phone?" I said, "Yes, please. Take my phone and break it." I just think
Just break it.
Just break it. We love technology. I love it for research purposes, to be honest with you. And then we're going into AI.
Yeah.
Going along that path. And it's not always correct, I wanted to say.
Yeah?
It's not.
No.
It's just a tool. And I guess that's the scariest part, right? It's such a powerful tool that you can kind of assume that it's right, but not every tool is correct.
That's right.
And depending on how you use it, it could be used improperly.
Oh, you play around. We played around with it a little bit. And you throw something. You did something the other night. Some kind of AI thing, and you got back, and you read it back, and we're like, start laughing. It's like, it's not even close to true.
I'm forgetting what the topic was. I forget, was it a housing thing or
It was so bizarre. The answer.
But then on the flip side, it's a very powerful tool, right? People are creating whole businesses with it. So it is both. So it is almost like of itself an extreme tool, right? It could both be totally wrong, but then it could, on the other side, create a whole business. Cool.
Hey, how are you? How are you?
Hi, Jessica. We're on YouTube Live.
We're on YouTube Live, chatting about the stories of the day.
We're chatting about stories of the day.
What are people doing when there's no internet?
There's Mina again. Krister, say hi to YouTube Live. Andrew, say hi to YouTube Live. Do you want to talk about what stories popped out to you for you this week? Local stories. What local story popped out to you?
I'm not in charge of that. I have zero power. Also, he doesn't know my name,
I
so that's
usually do crime beat, so some of the more horrific crimes which will stick out to me. The fact that they were able to solve a cold case for my early is probably
Tell us about the cold case. What happened and what did they find?
there was a pair of home invasion rapes in 1983 in Ventura. The rape kit was eventually tested by the it's a rape kit testing initiative in Ventura, California. They were matched to 5 other rape cases around the country. And eventually they were able to identify one as someone who died in 1997. So it's kind of that process of how many backlogs of rape kits there are, the pursuit of justice, and the way the communities react, especially horrifically violent.
Cool.
But that's one that stuck out to me.
You're like, that's the story that stuck
Well,
out.
when I stared at the picture while writing it up, so I don't know if I'm a reader, but yeah, I read my own book. So.
Cool. Caleb, we have FFF tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Caleb is one of our sports anchor reporters. What game are you going to?
I'm going to be heading to Orchid for a long hook and a game in about 12 minutes or something. Wi-Fi comes back.
Hopefully. All right, we're going to go around the newsroom again. So one of the other things that we do here at KYT is I'm a big believer of, sharing knowledge, and we currently have a meteorology student who is shadowing today. This is the behind the scenes. He's against a green screen. We use a program called Baron to do the graphics. Okay.
Southerners over in
That was the whole tour, ladies and gentlemen. We did about 36 minutes. I'm gonna go check to see if the internet's back now. Hopefully you all enjoyed. Thank you.